The fate of the toppled Silent Sam statue is still up in the air, and protesters also took to the sky. We'll have more on the story coming up. A water line break shut down the university. We'll have a live look later. North Carolinians are still recovering from Hurricane Florence. We'll have a live look at the storm impacts. We were only expected to win 5 games this season, and I hate to tell you guys, 2 of those that have already passed are Cal and ECU, and as you know, we took a devastating L on both of those. Paul, good news for you and Tar Heel fans everywhere. And the fans really aren't wrong. If we get Kelly Bryant, look out, our football team has thrived in the past with a good quarterback at helm. The North Carolina Fair is in full swing, and we're here to give you guys the latest. Coming up, everything you need to know on the final weekend of the fair. Brighton, this has been the site for many protests this year. As you can see behind me, Silent Sam statue is no longer standing. Some protesters have even taken to the sky to express their opinions about the toppled statue. You may have seen this plane flying around with a Confederate flag behind it and the words, "Restore Silent Sam." Now you may be asking, who is doing this? It's part of Operation Not So Silent Sam. This group says it plans to continue to fly around the state for the remainder of the month. It has also just been released that the university has pushed back the date to decide the future of Silent Sam. You'd be forgiven if you've had some doubts about Carolina's softball team, considering they've gone 6-13 on the start for this season. But they're looking to prove some of you wrong. They've won 4 of their past 5 series, and they're looking to make it 5 for 6 right here tonight at Anderson Softball Stadium. We've seen some good and we've seen some bad this past weekend, but let's start with the good first. We're going game 1. Pickett went the distance for the shutout, only allowing 4 hits and striking out 10 Wolfpack batters in the process. No one offensive performance stood out above the rest for the Tar Heels, and their 6-run effort as most of the scoring game via singles and 4-run second inning. But it was more than enough thanks to Pickett's shutout performance. But what was the strength for the Heels in game 1 was the Achilles heels in game 2. We lost our offense and our defense, and Brittany Pickett's dominance just ran out. 4 earned runs on 11 hits, which, while not expected, isn't overly surprising considering she pitched an entire game the day before. The bats didn't have any juice either, as the Heels couldn't only muster 1 run on 7 hits, leaving 6 on base. For the Tar Heels to keep up their luck tonight and come home with the win, they're going to have pitching from someone other than Brittany Pickett. And I think we're going to have to string together some consistency to get people on base. And if you're looking for a prediction from me, I'm going Tar Heels all the way. We're looking to make it 5 for 6 right here tonight, and I'm going with the Tar Heel win. Back to you. That's right, Brighton. There is a ton of food here to choose from, but right here what I have is what's bringing everyone to the fair. It's the donuts covered in Texas Pete sauce. That's right, donuts and Texas Pete sauce. We have everything you can choose from fried hamburgers all the way down to fried ice cream, but I decided to choose this today. I'm going to taste it for you guys just to give you what I think about it. Welcome back, guys. It's the final sports block of the season. I'm Natalie Hardin. It's not in season, but UNC fans just cannot seem to stop talking about football. One of the most pressing issues in football right now is the concern of CTE, a brain disease related to repetitive brain trauma. UNC's Injury Prevention Center is one of the most advanced brain trauma research facilities in the nation. The NFL recently committed to understanding CTE further, turning to the IPRC as its main site for research, providing a $14.7 million grant. This is one of the first times the NFL has publicly supported long-term study of neurological effects of concussions and head trauma. Sticking with football, the Mack Brown Celebration Tour continues. The new head coach at UNC has been getting a surge of top-level recruits to consider UNC, and this could increase as the Mack finally got to put on the jacket last night. Brown is now part of the College Football Hall of Fame, along with Mack, former Michigan defensive back Charles Woodson, and legendary coach Frank Beamer highlighted the 2018 class. In more unfortunate news, Kelly Bryant, the highlighted tout senior transfer from Clemson, chose the University of Missouri instead of UNC, and the men in blue are losing their #1 wideout. In an official statement, Anthony Ratliff Williams stated, "I would like to thank the University of North Carolina, Coach Fedora, and the UNC staff for giving me the opportunity to play the game I love." So Mack will be without the stellar wideout and quarterback who have made an immediate difference. As the fans hope for the best for Ratliff Williams, most are beginning to immerse themselves in the season of basketball. Both teams play today against UNCW. The women's team hoping to bounce back after a shocking loss to the University of Maine, the Hills' third straight loss. The men's team has to be concerned too, losing 2 of their past 3 games. The men are facing former assistant coach C.B. McGrath for the 2nd year in a row after taking on UNCW in the Disaster Relief Jamboree hosted by UNC last year. Fans are hoping Roy and the boys can get it together after a terrible loss to the University of Michigan. One note, after being diagnosed with that the basketball team is disclosing as an ankle injury, Kobe White, who has been one of our bright spots, will not be playing tonight. It's been a pretty good semester of sports, including a national title in field hockey. Enjoy the holidays. Back to you guys. As you can see behind me is Granville Towers, where many residents reported having brown water coming from the tap. Although the main line break was miles away, many UNC students were impacted. A water line break in Carrboro created a chaotic scene Monday. Traffic piled up as people rushed to stores like Walmart to stock up on water.
That's I guess, whatever it's been, 24 hours. It's been a little stressful, not being able to shower, have drinking water. Hasn't been super hard to find for me. I've been able to go get bottles of water at places, but it's been stressful to not just, drink.
The Owasso Water Treatment Plant on Jones Ferry Road is the main water source for people in Orange County, including UNC. So when the water line broke, the university had to shut down most of its facilities. That meant canceling classes.
I'm super glad that classes got canceled for 2 days because I had 2 tests, so it's pretty nice.
Others say they would pick water over canceling classes.
Especially is that we can't use the water. So our dishes are piling up, we can't do our laundry, we haven't showered in forever, so we all kind of feel gross.
If there's a problem with our water, then I'd rather them fix it than me and die of drinking it.
It took Owasso about 12 hours to fix the break, but nearly 2 days to get the water levels back to normal. For 2 days, UNC students were told to boil water before drinking it. Owasso lifted that advisory last night and classes resumed at 8 a.m. Peyton, we are so fortunate that Hurricane Florence didn't leave much damage here on UNC's campus, but that's exactly why the university is doing everything it can to help those who were affected. Hurricane Florence made landfall on Friday morning near Wrightsville Beach with winds of 90 miles per hour. The rain poured for days, causing major flooding.
I woke up one morning and started checking social media and had plenty of my friends tweeting their addresses and asking to be rescued, saying that they were hiding in their attic and pretty much begging just for help.
Definitely just devastating. Honestly, I don't really know what other adjective to use besides devastating.
Hundreds of evacuees headed to Friday Center. Once the number reached 500, the university opened another shelter at the Tennis Center with room for 1,000 more. Even though UNC resumed normal operations on Tuesday, the Dean of Students recognizes that there are still students who are struggling. There may be lengthy periods of cleanup in other areas around the state and region, displaced and/or separated families, travel delays for students returning to campus, and communities coping with physical and emotional trauma and exhaustion. The university is asking facilities to be flexible working with impacted students and for students to stay in contact with their instructors. The university is offering special support through the CAPS program. And Jackie, like I said, sealing the deal. Can you just tell me the emotions running through your head and the emotions today?
Yeah, it's been crazy. When I was fencing, I wasn't really letting myself take a stake in it so that I could just stay relaxed and fence. And so when it finally ended and I got that last point, it really all started to hit me, and it's just been crazy ever since. And like Sydney said, I can't sleep.
Yes, like I said, I'm here with a happy bunch of girls, and we have some nice hardware to add. And what can I say, not a better way to spend a Sunday. Speaking of fun to watch and a spark on the team, just tell me how you feel a freshman coming out here, putting down those points, career high, of course. And can you just tell me a little bit about the program? Do you think it's turned its corner now finally against Duke, that win? Do you think it's just going up from here?
We're definitely seeing sparks of greatness from our players.
But do you know the true meaning of Ubuntu? I sat down with Taylor Sharp to discuss the new film and the impact it's had on him.
The Hoop for Hope thing kind of just jumped on me. I thought, this is a group that I want to be involved in.
Ubuntu, it's a concept that says you are who you are because of others.
When I do the first teaching of Ubuntu to the team, it's like this African bushman teaching them something they never heard of.
And so from that point on, it was just like, all right, we on Ubuntu.
So on this week's of What's Trending, we have Taylor Sharp here to talk a little bit about his film on Hoops for Africa. So just relating it back to you, this is your alma mater and sharing your story. How was it, how did it feel when Varsity Theaters premiered your film?
It was so special to bring the film back to Chapel Hill because that's ultimately where it started. Chapel Hill really embraced this film. You know, it's a story about basketball in Africa. It's a story about the African philosophy of Ubuntu. But Chapel Hill, by supporting me, really brought the film right into this community. And I think that's really special because this African philosophy of Ubuntu ultimately comes back to community.
How specifically did you find out about Ubuntu?
So I happened to see kind of in the footnote to this article about the 2008 Boston Celtics who won the NBA championship, that they were taught about the African philosophy of Ubuntu by a South African guy from this nonprofit Hoops for Hope. I am because we are, you know, is what it kind of translates out to. And I just fell in love with the people who use Ubuntu as a way of life. Mm-hmm. And through this Boston Celtics connection to the world, it was a way to weave it into NBA history forever.
Yeah. How and when did you come up with, this is something that I want to do, I feel inspired to do this?
It all comes back to my summer spent in 2013 in Zimbabwe. I was seeing these stories unfold before my very eyes, and when I left, I really made it my mission to be able to bring those stories back. I really fell in love with the people in Zimbabwe, the kids we worked with, the work that Hoops for Hope does. And so later, as Hoops for Hope, the organization, was partnering with the NBA, and the NBA was holding its first ever Africa game. My host little brother from Zimbabwe was selected as a top prospect to compete in a skills academy there. So I just realized that all these storylines were coalescing, and I felt a calling to document them together.
So what's next for you?
Through this film, I've realized that I have a great interest in finding myself at the intersection of sports and social impact and storytelling. So I plan to seek out those stories where people are using sport for good and trying to introduce them to the world.
Are there any other thoughts you want to share before we are finished?
Well, now that people know about the film, I hope they'll go watch it. It's on iTunes and Amazon, and after watching, you'll know all about why Ubuntu matters.